Okay, hello everyone. First, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Vincent Altieri, and I'm with Burden LLP. I'm a lifelong resident of Westchester County and a member of the Business Council of Westchester. I first met Gino at Fordham University back in the mid-90s. We were both pursuing a bachelor's degree in accounting. Upon graduating with the class of 2000, I joined Burden LLP, and I've been there for my entire career. I'm currently an audit principal specializing in our real estate division. As a top 40 CPA firm, Burden has been around for over 100 years, successfully serving clients in a variety of industries. We're best known for our knowledge and expertise within the real estate sector. I'd like to thank Gino for joining us, and I'd like to turn it over to him for an introduction.
Thank you, Vinny. Give me a little background about myself. Graduated from Fordham University. I was born and raised in the Bronx. And moved to Westchester during my Fordham University time. I've been in the business for about 17 years now. Myself and my team are one of the top brokerages in Westchester County, and this is what we do on a 7-day basis. I have an accounting degree, and I did work for one of the big 5 firms. So let's discuss how I can be of assistance to you.
Okay, given our backgrounds, we'd like to focus this discussion particularly on Westchester residential real estate.
Sounds great.
Okay, prior to the pandemic, what did the market look like for Westchester residential real estate, specifically the median pricing and growth since the crash of 2008?
So the median pricing growth since 2008 has been inclining steadily over the last 10 to 12 years. The main reason for that is because there's been a huge lack of inventory because after 2008, construction was down and the buyer pool started getting bigger and bigger, and there was just not enough housing for the number of people coming up from the city and the boroughs. So it's been, prior to the pandemic, the real estate market was, as they say, a seller's market. And it was very strong. Interest rates were very low.
What were some of the challenges that you faced during the pandemic, specifically in regards to showing property? I know there was a lot of restrictions there. Buyers obtaining financing and the availability of the inventory. I guess, was there much activity, and how did you circumvent these challenges?
Well, at the beginning of the pandemic, Governor Cuomo put as you would say, a moratorium on real estate. We were not considered essential people in regards to doing our business. One of the main things that people did try to do was virtual showings towards the middle to the end of the pandemic. The problem, though, is with virtual showings, when you go to purchase a home that's $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, people really want to go and feel the house, see the house. It's the same situation as when during the winter, sales slow down because you can't see the land because there's 2 feet of snow on the ground. People want to be able to see what they're buying when they're spending that kind of money. So I can definitely say it was challenging. We weathered the storm, but it was something that we've never experienced in our lives, right? In regards to financing. So the major banks did take back a little bit their eases on the financing guidelines. One of the main concerns were that companies were furloughing their people, and the banks were worried that if they were giving out loans too easily, that they were going to be taking back these loans. So they started raising credit scores. With Chase Bank, you would have to have a minimum of a 700 credit score, where prior to the pandemic, it was about 675 or 680. Okay, down payments. Prior to the pandemic, most of this country were buying homes for 3.5%, 5% down, 10% down. Now the minimum down that Chase has is 20% down. That makes it a lot harder for people because when you're talking about people that have come out of school and people that have been saving, the lower down payment with the lower interest rate makes it much easier to afford a home.
So now that Westchester has entered phase 4, how has this impacted the market and your ability to show and sell property?
Yeah, so phase 4 was like the second coming to us because we actually were able to go out there. It's a huge pent-up demand. for 2 to 2.5 months. We lost our spring real estate market during that time, which was to the real estate market that was devastating, because in a place like California where it's warm all the time, it doesn't matter. But in New York, April and May are the main months of real estate. So we getting so many phone calls from the boroughs, the Bronx, Brooklyn. We have people calling us from everywhere, and they want an escape. If they were considering starting a family before, or if they were considering making a move before and they were on the fence, there's no more fence. The fence is gone. They're coming up in huge numbers, and we just do not have enough houses for them. So it's been great because everything that comes on goes off immediately, but it's also a detriment because then you see these people that are coming up to try to get away from the madness, and they know that they will be working from home over the next year to year and a half, that they want a home, and we just don't have enough inventory for them.
In your experience, what have you seen in regards to the impact of the pandemic, specifically in regards to the desirability of suburban residential real estate? In terms of the home values, has there been an increase as a result of this?
Yeah, so in regards to the home values, there's definitely been an increase. As I've been talking about, is with the lack of inventory, it's supply and demand. We just don't have enough homes to provide for the number of people coming up. So we've seen 5-10% going over asking price, 20% sometimes going over the asking price of a house. If a house has a pool, that is the number one thing that buyers coming out of the boroughs are asking for. The main reason is they feel that they're not going to be taking many vacations, okay? And in regards to having a pool, that's basically making their home their own private oasis. So we do have people bidding 10%, 15%, 20% over asking because of the lack of inventory. On top of the many people coming from the boroughs, as we discussed, there is actually many people who live in particularly lower Westchester that are tending to move to upper Westchester in regards to Bedford, Katona, Yorktown, North Salem. You get more land, you get bigger house. And right now, your home is your sanctuary, and we've seen that people are upgrading significantly. But the people who are upgrading from their smaller homes, we appreciate that because people are coming from New York City and they're coming from 2-bedroom apartments. So those smaller homes for the people who are actually currently live here are actually perfect for the people in New York City because that's a home to them. It's a much bigger home than a 2-bedroom apartment. Everything also comes down to the interest rates. Interest rates right now on a 30-year loan, I'm mind blown. I mean, it's 2.85%. You can't even get that interest rate on a used car, okay? And when you're looking at a home, if you're thinking about upgrading to have that more space for your family or that more office space, this is the time to do it. There's so much going on in the real estate market right now compared to probably any other industry that it's an amazing time to buy or sell.
Just to change topics a little bit, we talked a lot about residential homes and private homes and one-family houses. What changes have you seen in the availability of and the popularity of multifamily and mixed-use properties in the Westchester market since the beginning of 2020?
So this is actually a great question. Thank you. So what's ironic about this is that you would think that people would probably stray away from multifamilies because of the fact that it's more apartment living. But the fact is that people are taking their money out of the stock market and they want to put it into something more stable. Okay. Yes, there's many new rent laws that Cuomo was saying that if you couldn't pay your rent, you wouldn't be evicted. But that's just for a short period of time that's going to be in play. Okay. The longevity of having a multifamily house has been proven year over year that it does pay off financially. And that's what a lot of investors have been doing, is trying to buy many of these multifamily developments. In regards to mixed use is desirable, maybe not as much as the multifamily market. And as I said before, I'm a residential broker more than a commercial broker. But what I've heard from my commercial colleagues is that you will have the apartments in a mixed use subsidizing the storefronts, but investors are looking at long-term rental figures. If your storefronts of mixed use has long-term leases, that's a big positive because it's a safe bet. But if they have short leases or vacancies, the commercial market right now is taking a little bit of a hit.
So you're seeing a lot more investing and development of these types of properties.
Yeah.
On your side, I guess, from the buyer perspective, individuals who are looking for these multifamilies, have you seen an increase in demand there as well?
Yes. So in regards to buyers looking for multifamilies, we've been getting a large number of calls in regards to searching for properties and multi investment buildings. But I think that is a play because they want to also put their money in a stable environment. At the beginning of the pandemic, everyone lost about 50% of their net worth. And in July, everyone got it back. There's a lot of volatility with that, okay? When you have investment properties, multifamilies, at the beginning of the pandemic, it was at a certain level. It never came down for the multifamily market. So that stability is what investors are looking for.
If there is low inventory in terms of the residential housing market and it's the single family homes, do you find that people are willing to invest in a multifamily or condo unit if the availability is higher?
So just to be clear, so you're saying would a single family buyer or a condo buyer switch over to a multifamily because of the lack of inventory? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is yes. They have switched over. I wouldn't say it's the prime situation going on because at the end of the day, most of the buyers today want to have that single family residence for different reason than having a multifamily residence. As I said before, many of my clients, corporations and companies have told them that they're going to be working from home until at least the end of this year. They want to make it bigger and they want to have a place where they have their safety net and their safety zone, that's where they're going to be locked down for a certain period of time.
Yes, I'm sure that the homes that have offices built in are probably the most desirable at this point in time.
Home offices is also on top of the pool, as I stated before. Home offices are actually one of the other most requested item.
In your opinion, what do you see ahead in regards to the long-term effects of the pandemic on the value and the availability of Westchester residential real estate?
Over the next few months, there are many factors that are going to affect the entire real estate market. We have an election. We don't know if the pandemic is going to come back stronger. We also have many businesses that took PPP loans that are surviving on that currently. So there's a lot of uncertainty that's happening right now that we're going to go into in the fall of 2020. But over a long-term view, Westchester is close to Manhattan. You're on a 30-minute train ride. It has dining, it has parks, it has golf courses. So I think, Vinny, your question, I think long-term residential real estate is going to be very safe. I think that the next 6 months will be a little rocky. And that rockiness is something that none of us can control because there's so many factors going on. But we just need to basically go through it and feel the course and stay on course.
One last thing, I know you mentioned on the commercial side, and I know you're not a commercial broker. We do plan on continuing this and interviewing some of the commercial brokers. What's your opinion on the commercial side and the office side? Do you feel that companies maybe that are located in New York City, Manhattan, and the boroughs may open up satellite offices in Westchester and the surrounding suburban areas to attract people who live in those areas to maybe commute to those locations as opposed to the city?
That's a great question. I really do feel that there's going to be many companies moving up to Westchester to attract workers who live in the surrounding area. I think that the climate of the commercial real estate market, everything that we've known is going to change to a certain extent. And I think that companies have to adapt to the new world we live in. Westchester is in a prime location for that to happen because we're 30 minutes north of New York City. It's a very easy move. the lease, the cost of leases here in Westchester don't even compare to what the prices are in New York City. I think that Westchester commercial real estate is prime for bigger companies to move here.
Just as an example, like Burden has an office in Long Island, in the Jericho, there's a Jericho location, and we have seen, more people who live in the Long Island area who are able to take advantage of working out of that office. I think there's a lot of concern taking public transportation and, the potential exposure to the virus, given how many people are on the trains. And I think a large part of the reason why people are hesitant to return to the office is related to that commuting time that you mentioned. And, obviously that will return to normal once the pandemic is passed. It seems a lot easier for people to say, just jump in their car, not have that exposure, not have, the distancing that you have to deal with on those trains, and commute to the office. And, maybe there's given the fact that there's less volume in places like Westchester and the surrounding suburban areas, I think people feel a little bit more comfortable returning to those locations. And again, hence the opportunity that I see for Westchester and for the surrounding areas.
I have to agree. I think that the mass transit is something that used to be looked at as a positive. Now it's being looked at as a detriment, which is mind-blowing. I mean, who would think someone saying, we're going to get on a train, I don't want to get on a train, even if it's for 25, 30 minutes. The risk with that is significant. I know that they're cleaning the trains and they're cleaning, the different stations. But at the end of the day, you're correct. People do not want to take that risk, and they feel more comfortable getting in a car and driving to a local location if they don't have an in-home office. I agree with you.
Okay, I just wanted to say thank you to Gino Bello for joining us in this series and the insightful discussions that we've had. I think everybody would benefit, from our discussion and from the knowledge and the expertise that you do have in this market. And we really appreciate you spending the time with us and offering all these great insights. So thank you again.
Thank you, Vinny. I really appreciate it as well. It was a pleasure speaking to you. If anyone has any questions, we're always open to phone calls. We're here to help everyone. That's the main goal of us. Thank you to Burden for the opportunity to do this interview and hopefully provide some knowledge and some information to any potential buyers and sellers and to your clients. We always look to any questions you have. We're always here for you. Thank you very much.